or something, and then they show the screen.
Yeah, but it's not available currently.
Ah, I see. Okay. Because the problem is, like, through Zoom, it will not work. It will always lead to infinity. What? We're live? Really? Oh no, we're not ready. We're not ready for this. I'm not ready for this.
The blinding glare of the internet is on us, Simon.
Yeah. So how do I get there? I want to see what everyone else is seeing. Oh, there. So now I think everyone else needs to turn off their YouTube sound or something. And I think it's time that you switch the view to the table.
Do I still have an echo? I think, is it Fabian saying that?
I don't know. Hello from Greece. Hello, Andreas. Wow. Nice to, oh, I'm sorry. Hello, Hunt Tiger. Whose first name I don't know.
From Greece?
He's on vacation right now. He chose Essen Spiel as his favorite vacation time.
This is a pro move.
Yeah, it was really smart. It would have been even smarter if it was the real fair and not the digital edition, right? So we'll still, for everyone who's watching who is not from the Nice Game team, we're still trying to set up everything. Since this is the first time doing this digital, and also for some Corona reason, half of the team is not in the studio, but calling in via Zoom. So give us a bit of time to prepare everything, please. We're giving our best here. Oh, Lucas is there. Hi. Yeah, Ash has a bit of a, but I think that's because of so Fabian writes he can understand you, Ash, but the sound is a bit weird. I'm not sure we can fix this. This might be Australia, the connection to Australia. So, wow, okay, there's the game, a little bit overexposed in the light. But that's okay. We'll remove that cover soon. And Lolly is there. Francisco is still eating, or? Ah, I see. Oh no, yeah, this is the problem. Like, people might actually come. Right. Hey, Anthony. Nice to see you. Yeah, we're all very excited by this box. And yeah, with that, I think it's time for Lonnie and Francisco to take over with that big box. Wow, people cannot hear you, Francisco. Oh no. Oh no. This is horrible. Okay, so Francisco, I think you have to swap something with the microphone settings in XSplit. Oh no. Okay, but you can hear me, guys. You can hear me, right?
What about
This
now? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Simon.
nice. Thank you, Ash. But you can hear our hear the other voices. Okay. Yeah, really.
Let's see.
You can see the. Oh, you can hear Lonnie now.
Ah, you can hear me. Okay. So
That's
fine.
weird. Yeah, you can hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay,
That's fine.
nice.
So you didn't change anything?
But
yes,
wait.
I did change something in XSplit,
Okay, yes.
but this was the setting that we decided not to have.
And do they hear you?
They said they hear me as well.
So.
Okay.
So this, guys, is the true indie experience.
Yes.
You will not get that anywhere else.
Okay, so Francisco and Loli, and we are going to do the unboxing.
An unboxing of Vampire Heritage. So this is the Kickstarter edition, so you will see everything that basically the game has to offer. So, do you want to...
Yeah, I will start
Okay.
because this is a heavy game. How many kilos?
It's over 3 kilos or around
So
3 kilos.
I think I will need some help. Here we are.
Okay, maybe we can show like by component, or people want to see like the whole box here. So first thing, of course,
The manual,
the rulebook.
the rulebook.
So you will find here all the components that are in your copy. You will find here introduction to the game setup, descriptions of all the battlefields, of all the clans, and pretty much everything that you need to know about the game.
Yeah.
It's here.
Right. One thing we should mention for the rulebook, since Ash is here with us as well from Australia, is we are currently working actually on an online version of that because there's a bit of erratas and a bit of stuff that we need to add, and we actually want to provide loads more context for that. So if you're Kickstarter backers, certainly enjoy this beautiful rulebook, but also check out the link to the living rulebook that we'll be providing on the game webpage. Maybe Ash, you want to say something about that as well?
Yeah, I've been spending the last few weeks working on this kind of living rulebook digital implementation thing, and we actually have the potential maybe to show some screen sharing of that. The link is not live at the moment, but will be soon. And yeah, it's been really fun. One thing I'm really enjoying is creating, using Tabletop Simulator to create just bucket loads, like a huge amount of videos, GIFs, things like this that really demonstrate step by step, through the text. You click on the thing and you can see precisely that thing that we're talking about. And it's a lot more sort of natural. It's a lot closer to what you would do when you're teaching the game and you say, look, it moves here. And it's, I think, very intuitive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, why are we not here? Okay. And on the last pages, you will find your name if you were a backer. So that's there.
Yeah, so many names.
So many names. So thank you, everyone. The thousands of people here. And that's the first thing you will see on your box, the rulebook. Then we have these beautiful prints of the clan leaders.
So?
Originally, you were supposed to choose one, but you will find all 7, and they are double-sided. So if you turn them, you will find the other clan leader of every clan that's in the game, so you can just put them wherever
You want.
Yeah. Then next.
Yeah, maybe you have a room in your house where you didn't really know what you want to do with, and now you can plaster it with vampire, the masquerade portraits. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have mine with me in my office here, so whenever I'm feeling lonely, I can see Nosferatu.
Yeah. Watching over you.
Looming on the wall next to me, sort of thing.
Yeah. So of these clan leaders, what would you say is your favorite one?
The Nosferatu.
Nosferatu?
Hands down.
Yeah, he's a Nosferatu guy. Always was, and always will be.
And yours, Simon?
I can't really separate it from the gameplay somehow, but
just in
me,
like cool value.
Sorry?
Just in terms of like coolness.
Yeah, the cool factor.
Just visually.
Yeah.
I mean,
like the one you would put on your wall.
I mean, I really loved Theophana, the Malkavian one.
Malkavian.
I think she's a masterpiece. And by the way, if you don't know, Lucas in the chat, Lucas Sigmund, that's our artist. That's the guy who made all of these.
So many portraits.
Yeah.
Right. And I think at the end of the whole process, he was going crazy. I think he's not going to do portraits for the next 10 years or something anymore with all of those.
He's now Malkavian.
Yeah. Okay.
Little vampire joke.
Next, we have these. Simon, what are these?
Envelopes? Not really.
I can't see it yet because the stream is slightly delayed.
Yeah.
It's the envelopes.
The envelopes. So that is the player envelopes where you can collect all the material that you gather in the campaign.
It's the haven.
The haven.
Your haven, exactly, is what we call them. And one anecdote for this is that Christian, our art director, basically chose this hill to die on and decided that these player envelopes need to be exactly in this size so that you can fold the player sheets once and then they fit in there. So he was adamant, and this was like I think he would have like quit the project if we hadn't accommodated.
Yeah, and you need someone on the team who cares very deeply about envelopes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you do. You need someone who, because that's not my priority. So it's good that someone's there caring for that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So shout out to Christian, who's unfortunately not here today, but in our house always.
Yeah, out measuring envelopes somewhere.
So next we have something that you already mentioned, the player sheets. So the player sheets are going to be basically your curriculum as a vampire. You will put your name here, of course, like your vampiric name, like something cool. And then throughout the campaign, you will start filling this with the abilities that you earn, the assets, and everything that's happening throughout the game.
Right. If we can, I'd like us to try to reduce exposure a bit. Maybe we can turn down some, because it's very hard to read them. Or well, not even read them, but they're very bright.
No, I guess in the...
Let's change it.
Right. What we can say about the player sheets is that they went through a lot of revisions and changes, and we tried many things, and we're quite happy with the result now. But it was a long process to get there, because there's a lot of moving parts in the game, and it all needs to fit in there. And I guess it's also connected to changes in the system, right? But
I think that conceptually this was pegged quite early and didn't change from that, in the sense that it's like a homage to the tabletop role-playing game character sheets, and it never really moved particularly far from that.
Right, that is true. The look was clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next we change to the camera. Yeah. And we have this little book that's called the Chronicle Booklet. And here you will write what's happening throughout the campaign, who's winning, who's losing, throughout different chapters here.
Right, and there's a little story in there that you can follow, and some explanation of what's going on in the vampiric world, and a little timeline. So
right, and I don't want to sort of pitch the game again, but the idea is that every double page spread is an era in human history, and that these three games that constitute the era, the players will duke it out to see who is the most powerful vampire of this era, and then that particular vampire will get to make a decision in human and vampiric history. It will branch this way or that way, and they'll choose the outcome, and then those these 7 choices, these 7 eras, we cumulatively determine a single winner. So this is how to use the Chronicle book.
right. So by the way, if you have any questions, or if you want to see more of a certain thing or hear more, be sure to write it in the chat. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yep. So next we have the stickers. Many stickers that you will use to upgrade the vampires throughout the campaign. And you will see, maybe now we can use the zoom camera. I mean this one, like the smaller one. Is it set there?
Oh.
The cool little. No. Just try it.
Right.
Right.
So the stickers have 2 or maybe 3 flavors depending on whether you use the names. But the first is a clan. So the characters, as they are drawn into the world from human history, they're mere mortals, and you may turn them into incidental vampires. But when you turn them into an ancilla, then you cement their place in your world of darkness. And at that point, you assign them to a clan. So no particular character, apart from certain chronicle characters, are tied to a clan. You can decide at the time whether they will be Gangrel or a Thin Blood if you don't like them joining the clan that you're playing at the moment. Or in some circumstances, you can choose any of the clans. And then the second kind of sticker is the ability sticker. Just zoomed in. We have the ability stickers. Every ancilla, a more powerful vampire, starts with 1 ability, and throughout the chronicle, they can gain up to 2 more. And finally, I know Simon's favorite. I hope you used it the other day when you said you were playing at home. The name stickers that allow you to give one of these characters, which have sort of archetypal style names, you can give them a very specific name, just for your campaign.
I'm absolutely using them. I have my current character is called Igor, and my first character that I embraced is Igor's Messenger, and actually it's a traitor. I'm not sure if you remember that. So it will exhaust itself and another vampire. It's been my secret weapon so far. So Alex is really scared. My wife is really scared now of Igor's Messenger. I think it's cool, but it's definitely optional.
Yes.
Yep. Then the next component, and I think my favorite one.
Oh.
These coins. Why are these coins,
Simon? We shouldn't make this too public because this is only for the Kickstarter backers, right? So if you're not a Kickstarter backer, don't get envious.
This is another thing that Kristen put a lot of work into, and I think they're beautiful.
And made us spend a lot of money too on it, unfortunately. We decided that we wanted to have all the clans in the base game, right? Because that seemed like the right thing to do because it was just such a unit. And so we said, okay, let's do something for the Kickstarter backers as well. And what can we do? What makes them happy? Maybe some really cool coins. And then we got coins according to the budget that we had prepared, and they were like, I think around this size.
They were super tiny.
And and Christian, again, he basically forced us to use all of our profits. We're basically broke now because of these coins. I hope you're happy, Christian.
Yeah, and they're real silver, real copper, real gold.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And next.
Only the best for our backers.
Right.
Seriously, though, they were freaking expensive. So please
enjoy them.
Oh, Anthony, I'm not 100% sure, but I think not.
So the next component that we have here are the clans.
All of the clans.
All of the clans here.
So what will they find in each box, Simon?
Right, so here's all of the clan boxes, and in each box there is the starting the starting scheme cards. During the campaign you can unlock more scheme cards for each clan, and there is the clan leader, and this is also the place where you collect all of the things for a clan that get added during the campaign, and also like the little tokens and so on and so forth.
Right, and maybe this would be a natural point to sort of highlight that you have a player haven, a player envelope, which is yours for the entire chronicle, where you add your assets, your retainers, and the character sheet, maybe some clan leaders that you've unlocked. However, the actual clans themselves are separate from that because in one game you might play the Tremere, in another you play the Nosferatu, in another you play the Malkavians. You sort of move between these different worlds, controlling the clans at your will. So while the haven is yours alone, the boxes for the clans and the clans themselves are shared throughout history.
Right. So I want to point out here that concerning this, like changing clans and a lot of the workings of the campaign, my opinion at least is that the game is highly moddable in terms of house rules and so on and so forth. So we have quite a few people that have playtested the game, have preferred to keep their clan, and that is absolutely possible, though it does, obviously, in a competitive legacy game, require you to keep the balance in other ways, right? Because if a clan just keeps getting stronger, then and you can't swap it, then that's a bit of a problem for the competitive nature of the game.
Right, there's a sandbox-esque element, I think, and that makes it very moddable. There are loads of things that you can change, house rules, variants that you can choose to play or not play with.
Right. So just while I have the mic, there's a few questions in the chat in terms of who gets what that I want to answer again. So everything except for the coins is in the deluxe editions. If you back the retail editions on Kickstarter, you get the coins. But if you bought it outside of Kickstarter, you don't get the coins. We're sorry this is so complicated. We're still learning. But the coins is something that we specifically, and actually in that sense, the people who bought it outside of Kickstarter are actually profiting of that, because there was a bunch of stuff that in the beginning we thought would be Kickstarter exclusive, like the additional clans. And now we added these to all the other editions, and to compensate the Kickstarter backers, they are getting the coins. So I hope that clears it up. I can understand it though, like coins, that's like cocaine for Kickstarter backers. Almost. Like me.
There is another question from Jennifer. Is there an option for more clans being added later?
I mean, certainly that could happen. It depends on the success of the game and whether people want that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask, what clans, what would be the additional clans? I'm very curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
We'll see what the answer is.
I mean, what we maybe can say is that there are at least appearances by a few other clans, very small appearances by a few other clans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, particularly in the Gentleman's Story expansion, Cappadocians, Giovanni, so particularly in this one, there are mentions, they're in the lore, so of course they're in the game, but as playable clans are not currently.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I mean, if you like the game, and then tell everyone you like the game, the chances that we will not be able to stop. But we'll see. That depends. We're still excited to see, wait and see how everyone likes the game first.
Yeah. So Lolly, maybe we can use the spider cam to show the contents of one of the boxes.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So this is the De La Sombra clan. So first you will find the clan leader, which is double-sided, so we'll have two characters there that you can use on your first game as a La Sombra. Then you find a sort of small explanation of the La Sombra's abilities, right? And their level of complexity, and also how many players is it recommended to play it with. There are some clans that play better in a two-player game. There are some others that 2 to 4 or maybe 4. So that's also there. And there's also an information about the assets that you will win throughout the campaign. You won't have them on the first game, but then it becomes very handy to see what are the effects of the assets that you're winning in each game. And then you have a bunch of the starting schemes, which are going to be in the clan, but these are not the only schemes that you will play as a La Sombra. You will also unlock, as you play the clan, you can unlock new clan schemes that you can add to the clan. And then...
Is there an L missing in this one?
A what?
An L missing, scholarly. There's an L missing. Is this the from the final edition? Scholarly. Oh no, we have a typo.
Where?
Do we?
Scholarly.
Yeah, scholarly would be. No.
Yeah, maybe they fixed it. We'll see. So.
Oh no, guys. But yeah, it's a huge game. And again, there will be errata, there will be little typos. The most important thing is when you get it, also go to the webpage and check out the living rules. Because that will take care of all of the real important issues that might be there. I actually hope there are no important issues immediately wrong, but yeah.
That's the indie experience.
Absolutely, that's the indie experience right there.
You're missing an L.
I found in the German player sheet there is also one English word, so the player sheet will also put for download. Thank you, Jennifer, for being kind. Yeah, quite honestly, of course, this is like the worst thing that can happen to you, right? You put and the box, like at least it's not on the box.
Yeah.
So, see, we've got that going for us.
Now we have the Battlegrounds with us. So.
So these are the Battlegrounds. This is where you will put the characters as they come into the queue. So you will have the deck here, and you will put the vampires appearing here in order. And here is the space for the missions. And here is just to track each turn. And then you have the battlefields, which are in total how many, Simon?
9 battlegrounds.
9. And why? Because these are double-sided, right?
Right. And if you followed us on YouTube, then you should know all of them actually by heart. And we've basically explained all of them in detail already. We start out obviously in the Middle Ages with a fight between the high clans and the low clans, and the War of the Princes. And then we move on to the Inquisition, the Anarch Revolt, the Masquerade finally, and so on and so forth until we reach the Sabbath Wars, which is the last battleground that enters the game. And hopefully we've managed, by the way, maybe we should explain, like in case there's people who haven't followed us, we should explain a little bit more about what that actually is, that component. Ash.
Right. So, as I was describing earlier, there are 7 eras in the game, and an era is comprised of 3 battlegrounds. So when an era is finished, the winner of those 3 games, the one who rose to the top in that specific era, will get to determine the way that the battleground which is being resolved, which is leaving history, the way that it turns out. For instance, I was going to ask you, Simon, and I'll get back to this, but what your favorite battleground is. My one is actually a toss-up between Clans High and Low and the Inquisition. But anyway, when the Clans High and Low is resolved, which is the first to be resolved, way back in the Middle Ages, the player who has orchestrated events in their favor, who has won that era, will get to choose whether the High Clans retain their status in terms of society, or whether there is a revolt and the Low Clans retain their status. And this will have an impact on tile scoring, and will impact sort of the rest of this world of darkness that you're creating, because as you go through each of these eras, resolving one battleground at a time, or that's leaving, that's being resolved, you can make some pretty big changes thematically to the world of darkness.
Right. And of course this also makes the game quite different between the different eras, because these are the game boards that your characters can influence, and they all function according to different rules. So for example, the Clans High and Low is a simple tug of war kind of thing, while the Inquisition is more about managing your infamy, and then in the end something like the Sabbath Wars is almost like a little game of Risk, almost a little bit like Dudes on a Map. Now, as for what my favorite battleground is, it's hard to choose. I think when the Sabbath Wars come in at the end, it's quite a big change. Like it seems like there's a different quality to it, and in all honesty, it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially with all the other things that go on in a game where many of the vampires are already upgraded. But I still think that this kind of like this final finale kind of feeling that it gives, that's something very cool.
Right, it's like finally these are your guys on the map. You got to kill those guys on the map. Like it's all just coming to an end. None of this like sort of subtle manipulation of history. You got to blow up a building.
Right. I'm not a subtle person, so maybe that's that's the reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
By the way, I think you're showing too much of our ugly faces. People don't really want to see us, I think.
You're beautiful, Simon. Love yourself. Love yourself. So now we have this box, which contains the basic characters that you will start with, and they come pre-sleeved, so you don't have to put any sleeves there. And why do they have sleeves, Simon?
Why do they have sleeves? Well, yeah, it's on the back side of each character. There is the first ability of that character, and we thought it's more fun and more thematic if you don't see all of these while you sleeve the cards. I mean, obviously, it would take quite some time to prepare the game otherwise. But again, this is quite complicated for production. was quite difficult to get produced in this way. So I'm not sure we would do that again. But I mean, it's definitely cool. But
yeah, and it's one of the themes of the game, one of the sort of guiding lights, I think, as far as principles when we were designing, was that these characters are not really under your control entirely. They do things in Battlegrounds. They use their abilities in ways that aren't necessarily good for you. And I think it was sort of running along that sort of track, that vein, was the idea that you see a model and you can see, oh, this is a knight, this is a monk, this is a peasant, and it will give you an insight into the kind of thing that they'll do if you were to turn them into a powerful vampire. But that's the thing with models, you never really know exactly what's going to happen. So I think that this genuinely hiding that information from the players, and of course you essentially want to cheat, or if your table decides to play that way, but I think it's very thematic and very fitting to not be entirely certain what kind of monster you're unleashing. And remember, this is going with the legacy elements. This is a change that you're making for the campaign, for the entire chronicle.
Right. So, and this, obviously there will be people who would prefer it differently, right? Who would control, would like full control, but I think yeah, as you just explained, so the basic idea of trying to give you this feeling of conspiracy where you're trying to move all of the cogs in the right direction without really knowing what will happen, that's at the center of this. So
yeah, it's like you're turning these cogs, but one of these cogs is a monster and just keeps killing people, and you want them to stop it, but that's what they do. That's what that model that you turn into a powerful vampire has added to history.
Right. So yeah, not everyone will love it, but we love it, and we hope that lots of you will love it this way as well.
Yeah.
So one question that we got a lot was whether the sleeves are enough for the game. And as you see, there are these characters that need to be sleeved with these ones, the ones that are opaque, so you don't see the back. All the sleeves that you need for this are included in the game, even for the characters that you will add later to the deck. So you will find here additional sleeves, and that should cover all characters. For the rest of the cards, we recommend to use just transparent sleeves if you want to protect them, but they shouldn't be used with these ones, because on the back there is information that you might need to see, so it's better to use transparent ones for the cards that are not characters.
Right.
Right. And there are people who were asking like they would sleeve every card in the game, and there are so many cards, and there are many cards. For example, the Chronicle missions in the Chronicle deck that, in my opinion, don't really need to be sleeved because they are sort of unfolding events that essentially happen once, and there are 105 of just those Chronicle missions in the game. So it would be quite a spoiler, and also not really necessary. But I think that, for instance, the clan schemes, the cards that you actually play with, yeah, you could certainly sleeve those.
Maybe this one.
Right.
So next up we have this big heavy box. What's in here?
Don't see it yet.
No.
It's a mystery.
Oh, that box. I kind of thought it would be that box.
I think it's the only one big box that we have.
Right. So this is the campaign box where all of the, I don't know how many 100 cards of the campaign are stored. And it's quite important that you don't mix these up when you get them out of the box. And it's also, this is something that we're hoping that players pick up quickly, but it's a little bit something that we've treated rather quickly in the printed manual. So for each campaign game, if you just take the top 6 cards there, at the beginning of each campaign game, you're going to take the game card and the first 5 mission cards to set up the game, and then there's a bunch of cards that will come until the next game starts, and these have to be, this is a lot of the legacy content that's introduced in that game, like characters that you've unlocked, the new stuff from new Battlegrounds, the chapter endings, and so on and so forth. And you should just follow the manual as to where these go until you reach the next game, and then move on.
Right. And you said about 100 cards in the Chronicle. There's actually, I was just looking at the sheet, 211 cards initially in that Chronicle deck, and this goes up to well over 250 if you happen to get the extension.
Right.
So that's that's 700 years of history. That's the pitch. It's all in that Chronicle deck.
Right. I'm not sure if we should take a look at one of the missions and explain how they go, since it's quite fun as well.
Yep.
Maybe with the spider cam.
The handy spider cam. So the first card you will see will be this one, which just opens the game, I guess. Doesn't have any function, right?
On the back side is the
the chapter overview.
Right. So there, and obviously the thematic quote is also very important, right? Even if it might not have a direct function. But yeah, we collected a whole load of quotes from these different eras, or let's be honest, Ash did that. And I think he did a really good job. So yeah, what you see on the back of the cards is a little bit of a setting. So this is the card for the first game where you'll be in Rhodes, and you see a little bit of what's going on in the world, and you see what the winner will get. In this case, the winner of the first game will become a Grand Hospitaller of the basically a medieval Knight Lord, and write that on their player sheet, and the loser of the game will get to improve their clan with one additional card.
And it's very, very important as you collect these titles that you make the other players refer to you by your growing list of Vampire titles.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the only rule that can't change.
Did we write that in the? We should write it in the living rulebook at least, if we haven't added it to the paper one.
Okay, then next we can show maybe a mission. Sailing the Mediterranean.
Right. What's the time? It's almost an hour done already. I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, we're still keeping in our time window here, is what I'm saying. Or should we take it a little bit quicker? There's so much in this box.
Yeah, I think we have the time, so no need to hurry.
All right. Right.
I sailed the Mediterranean so many times. We started. We obviously are trying to avoid spoilers. So this is indeed the first mission. So in the first chapter, you will be faced with 5 of these potential missions, these sort of more role-playing-esque scenarios that you can engage with if you happen to develop the correct bloodline for that. So at the start of the game, 5 of these sort of scenarios are laid out, available for everybody. At the end of the game, the missions are assigned to particular players, and at that point they flip the card over, and they see the scenario play out. They see what happens, and then they give it a choice. And there's always a binary choice, A or B, and depending on the choices the player makes, they will gain a particular attribute or a discipline or a sort of faction allegiance. And by completing these missions throughout history, going on these sort of adventures, doing role-playing kind of stuff, they will develop their character, and this will feed into their final score at the end of the Chronicle. So these missions are very much tied into the meta of the Chronicle through time. And also, I think for a lot of players will be, more importantly, a chance to just do thematic stuff. You can play purely thematically and be like a real villain through time, or be like a kind of man or woman of the people. And there are certain missions which I cannot. I will always choose because it's fun to do that.
Right. I mean, for me, the missions illustrate very nicely kind of the two ways you can play the game, in my mind. One way is obviously as a very competitive legacy game, where if you're that kind of person, then you will want to look closely, like you will want to read these cards yourselves, and you will want to make your choices depending on what is most likely to give you the best point outcome in the Chronicle, which can be interesting. But there's also the thematic way to play it, where maybe you're not reading this card yourself, but you're having it read to you. You're sailing the Mediterranean because you have a chance, a mission prompt, because you collected the most roaming vampires, and then you're getting read the little story, and you make the choice purely based on thematical reasons. I think that's a very nice way to play as well, because it makes for a much more varied game and a much broader experience. But of course, it's also possible to play it like a cutthroat competitive game instead.
Yeah, and I think that this is actually quite competitive in a way. If you're, as a vampire, through history, you are choosing this to back this revolution, or to destroy that ship, or any number of things, simply because it will hurt somebody else. The people involved will never know about it. You've got some sort of like scheme going on, and you go on your way, and you're going to make decisions purely
right.
to annoy your brethren.
That's true. I'm betraying.
It's unavoidable.
Right. I'm betraying the Templars here because I want that extra point in mortals. And that is actually a very thematic decision in that sense. That's true. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it.
Then we have another component, the ants. Maybe we can show it there. The ants that were one of the unlocked stretch goals, right?
Correct. These are pretty cool meatballs. We only got them very late in the process because we couldn't really get any good samples produced before the real production, but I think they turned out really nice and cute. And obviously the way these components work is that they get reused on different battlegrounds. So the Angs are used in the what I would call like the geographical battlegrounds. So they're used to portray envoys in the War of the Princes, and they are used in the Anarch Revolt and the later geographic battlegrounds as well. Except I think the Sabbat wars. Felipe prefers the little cubes. How can you, Felipe? That's I mean, heretic almost. How can you not love these little cute ant meeples? Well, I mean, you're a monster, but we knew that.
And I mean, you can always add cubes, you know, there's no prohibition on that. I mean, I would judge you, of course.
Definitely, yes.
Too many cubes already.
Mhm. And another small component that we have here are the crystals. So Lolly, maybe you can show the spider cam. And what do they replace, Simon?
So this is the power and infamy tokens in the deluxe edition. Functionally, there's absolutely zero difference, but obviously that's a little bit of a material upgrade for the deluxe edition.
Right.
This was another element, correct me if I'm wrong, Simon, that sort of never changed. Like, you saw these particularly on the dark colors of the illustrations, and they just look lovely.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the main reasons I got excited making this game, was seeing these little red diamonds on the arms. Yeah.
I am very sad that we never found a use for the giant one that was about like fist size. I think it's probably seen in the office.
Right, yeah.
We never had that stretch goal.
Actually, I had like 20 of these, and most of them ended up in my daughter's room. Oh, how many crystals for each color are there? Do you remember that, Ash? There's more for power than for infamy, I think, because it's more common to get power than infamy, right?
Right, so I believe you'll get 60 total of red gems, 20 large, 40 small, and you'll get only 40 total of the infamy, yellow gems, 10 large and 30 small. And that's simply because in play, we found that you quite often have like stacks of power, but usually if a vampire accrues too much infamy, they are not long for this planet, so they don't get stacks of infamy. Somebody will send them for long.
Right, probably the guy who controls that bloodline, if it's
Yes,
too much.
yes. Yeah, which is very vampire.
Mm-hmm. And now we have two other boxes, and I know one is the research box, right? Let's wait till Simon sees it.
Must be the research box, and then maybe the basic materials box.
Yeah.
My guess. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So if you open the research box, you'll see that there are, for every clan in the game, there's a bunch of additional cards there that can be used during the campaign to upgrade that clan. And there's no complicated rules for this. Basically, it's always the loser of a game who gets to do this. And so there's a kind of, hopefully some balancing going on there, because the person who lost can improve the clan that they just played. And of course, one thing I should mention here is that if you want to play the game in a more open way, so if you're not even that interested in the campaign per se, you can use this box freely as well. So you can add these. Potentially, I think, Ash, correct me if I'm wrong, but you could even add all of them at the start of the campaign and then still play the campaign with that.
Absolutely. There's no other impacts apart from this sort of deck building concept. If you wanted to, you could add all 14 cards for each clan and play like that from the beginning. It all depends if you like the idea of cultivating these bloodlines between throughout the chronicle.
Right, and there's a bit of thinking that's gone into this as well, in the sense that some of the cards actually make more sense later in the campaign when you have more upgraded vampires. So while if you add them earlier, that's still not a big deal, but it might be that some cards are less or more useful depending on that. Right, and for one clan specifically, the Chimishe, we should mention that their special ability actually is not in their decks from the beginning, because it's an ability that specifically refers to Ancillay, and there are no Ancillay in the first game, or except the ones that you make in the very beginning. So we help the okay, how do you say it correctly, please? I don't want to get that. Can you Tamishi?
Those guys.
Those guys. We help them out a bit, and they start with other strong cards instead, and they gain their special ability later.
Simon, I saw that some people yelled at Rastain for the pronunciation of. I remember in playing Vampire Masquerade in high school, and this is how we decided to pronounce it, and I thought that was correct.
I played all of the computer games, and I don't know if that's my memory playing tricks or anything, but I don't remember saying it differently. But I'm German, so maybe, yeah. It's not as good an excuse as being French, but it's close, I would say. Oh, hi Leon, by the way. Right, so what else do we have? Or is this the end?
No, there's always more. Always more content.
Wait, there's more. These are the expansions, Simon.
Right, the expansions. So this is obviously part of the Kickstarter edition, and these are actually changed a little bit from what we've described on the Kickstarter. They all expand the game in the thematic way that the expansion is about. So the Twisted Fates adds things that are a bit more about the darker side of human and vampiric nature. The Strands of Time is about history content, and the Gentleman's Story is for vampire fans specifically. But the change that we've made is, instead of turning these into, basically instead of keeping that as additional content that is the same as the rest of the content and providing additional games, we've decided to basically supercharge the campaign itself and provide a little bit more varied and more interesting new gameplay effects, rather than basically adding more of the same content. I don't know, Ash, if you want to say more about each individual expansion, or if we want to leave that for a separate video. Maybe we can give just a very quick overview of what each of them is.
Right, so the Twisted Fates add, okay, so three kinds of content in Twisted Fates. So one of them are the Twisted Souls, and these are characters much like normal mortals that sort of are developed throughout history, but these are characters whose fate is entwined in some way with a specific other character in the chronicle.
Right.
So,
maybe you can show these on video as well. Sorry for interrupting, but I think it would be very nice to have some.
The cards?
right, and this is for the Twisted Fates that we're talking about currently. So the Twisted Souls have these sort of dark relationships. Some of them are like sort of loving and protective. Some of them are like vengeful. But they have an impact on one specific character. They're just tied forever to history in that way. So with this, you get that character. You get a story card explaining what their relationship is with their sort of partnered soul through history. And then you also get in these as well chapter resolution cards. So you might have seen earlier at the start of the chapter, there was a chapter overview card, which is the setting where we are, as well as awards for the winner and the vanquished. But the chapter resolution is paired with that and explains how the chapter itself is resolved. And then it also provides another reward for the winner. So this, and of course, thematically, all of these are quite dark, and twisted. The sort of the more MA 15+ kind of version of the world of darkness, or more. They're quite dark.
But one of them actually is a card that I personally removed from the game. I wanted it removed from the game, and I was convinced because it was like personally offensive to me, and it made its way into this expansion. I'm not going to oversell it. Like, I'm also a little bit sensitive, maybe, but that's true. That's actually true.
It was just a picture of you with sting lines above it, and personally offensive.
The other thing about this is that this card that we see right now, the Profiteer, that was one of the two cards that didn't make the cut for getting exported from China for their whatever regulation reason they had there.
The nipple regulation.
It was too twisted.
It was too twisted, right?
So maybe we can move on to the Strange of Time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the pillars of the game and the pitch, of course, is the grand sweep of history, the grand scope of this 700 years of human and vampiric history. And we wanted to add more of that because there were certainly people who were seeing what we were doing and wanted more, always more content and situations and scenarios and things like this. So the idea here is that we provide more of the so-called real history and real historical events you interact with. So as far as the content there, we have the influential figures, and these are chronicle characters that come into play throughout history, and they're very famous sort of real-life mortals that you can embrace. There's one towards the end that is probably my favorite character, but that might be a spoiler. And yeah, the idea is that you will go through history and turn famous people into vampires and use them, and they're very impactful. And that's because of the second component that's added to the game, which is the Strand of Time. So, what's the Strand of Time? It's a scheme from the mortal world, an organization or a person or a place from real history that is being added to the game and can be used by the players. So it's a scheme, it might be a mercenary group or a particular haven that is now added to this. You can choose I'm just checking this. Yes, the vanquished player always chooses which of these strands of time to add into the next game, if any. So that's, and the connection with the influential figures is that when we play them, they automatically trigger this strand of time. And that's very much in keeping with the idea that these characters do things of their own volition. Sometimes you won't want them to trigger that strand of time, but that's the deal. They're influential figures, they do things. And then there are, of course, more chapter resolutions. So some of the chapter resolutions are drawn from the Twisted Fates expansion, some of them from the Strands of Time expansion, and they provide together, they provide chapter resolutions for the chapter of the game. So just like the Twisted Fates chapter resolutions were sort of dark and grim, these ones here are all about history. and mortal events.
Right, and we wanted to make sure that a lot of this stuff is really optional but enriching. I think that's how I would describe it. And for many of these components, hopefully they can also be used by people in a kind of toolbox kind of way. Like when you play a custom game, you can add the Rockefellers as an organization, as an additional public scheme for players to tap. And so hopefully that will lead to more tools in the toolbox, basically, if you want to play custom games as well.
Yeah, particularly the Strange of Time, we're very much thinking of, looking ahead to after the Chronicle, or even during the Chronicle when you wanted to play a one-off game, and adding a really huge amount of variability there. And then the final expansion is the Gentleman's Story, written by, or largely written by the Gentleman Gamer. And what this adds is one of the sort of promises made from the Kickstarter. One of the part of the pitch was that players through history would complete these missions, go on these adventures, do things, and they would string them together to complete sort of chains and unlock things together. So you might not have noticed on the Chronicle missions that each one of them has a tag. Now, if you don't have the expansion, it's just thematic. It just tells you a little bit more about where you are and what you're doing. But if you do have this this expansion, you can check when each chain is completed. So we might have a chain for France, or for Italy, or for warfare, modern technology. And when this chain is resolved, there's a reward for the player who collected the most of these. So it's just an extra reason to lean into this or that sort of mission as you're going through history. You might decide to really lean into some of these areas in order to try to get that benefit, or to just prevent somebody else from getting the benefit. And what this does is pretty powerful things, such as permanently removing characters from the game. So if there's a pesky Nosferatu who keeps spoiling your plans, the idea here is that these mission chains are a way to change the meta as you play through. And there are also 4 new characters that are added in this expansion. The Strays, we call them, because they're from more obscure and unusual bloodlines.
Right, and again, for me, thematically, it's quite neat because all of these rewards, they tie into the whole meta game kind of thing. So if you, I think we just saw that right now, if you resolve a lot of missions that have to do with conspiracies, then the gentleman, Matthew Dawkins' character, will introduce you. There's actually letters of introduction. Will introduce you to some secrets and some famous organizations or characters from the lore, and these are what you can then use to basically nuke things in the world. So to basically, these are very powerful organizations from vampiric lore, and their impact on the meta game is appropriately powerful. And so this is something that we really wanted to expand on in this expansion, this kind of larger world that you can still tap into, even though you're this ancient and very powerful being already.
Yeah, it's quite, as you were saying, quite strong and very sandboxy. We have no idea as designers and developers which character you will nuke, which character you will bring back, which characters will be taken from each other's hands, and so on, with all of these schemes. So that's very freeform. There's a question here from Anthony: is there a recommended place to add the add-ons in, or just bring them in from any point? So there's 2 ways that you can implement the expansion content. One of them, the way outlined in the box with the expansions as you get them, is at the start of the Chronicle, you can take the cards out, and they each have a unique ID on them, and this allows you to place them in that Chronicle deck in a specific order. So it'll take 10, 15 minutes at the start of the campaign to take these components out, place them in the right place, and then for the other 21 game sessions, you don't have to think about it, they are drawn out and added into play as you go through. Now the other way, which we'll detail more in the living rulebook online, although it's fairly simple, is that you don't implement them with the Chronicle deck at the start of play. Instead, you can look through these boxes after each game to see what content would have been revealed at that time. And then, of course, you could choose to implement it or not implement it if you were going for more of a custom sort of thing.
Right, and both of them have obviously like advantages and disadvantages, but there is for each card a specific place that you could put it in the Chronicle deck. So.
Right, and of course there's a risk of spoilers there, so hopefully no minimal peeking, but I expect it will be the person who, say, owns the game, the sort of game master kind of role, is looking at that. So for everybody else, it'll be completely unseen.
Right, and I think, is that it?
Almost.
Almost.
You're missing the most important part of the game.
Oh.
Heritage is forever. It never ends.
Right.
And by the way, on our next stream, we will probably talk more into detail about the expansions, right, Simon?
Well, I mean, we did talk. I don't think we want to spoil much more, but we'll talk about that later. It's very fine line of how much you want to reveal and how much you want to keep for people to discover by themselves somehow. But maybe we can, like, people who are watching can tell us what they want to see more of. And then we can see, right, are the reusable if you have a reloaded pack, or will they get added to and you've already answered that question. Yes, so the question was, and I'll just repeat it for the stream, are they reusable? Yes, they are reusable. And also, because that's also often a question, for the characters in the expansions, all the sleeves for those are already included in the main game. So those who didn't get the expansions, they'll have a few additional sleeves in case one of them breaks. And everyone who has the expansions can just use the pack that comes with the main game to sleeve those characters as well. Right, and there's the last piece of the puzzle, all of those tokens. It's one of the most satisfying things about games is punching out the punch boards, right? So I think we have ample opportunity for that, but please don't punch out these assets. If you could show this, like 2 boards with assets. This is something that we can explain. Yeah, if you hold the top one a little bit closer to the camera. So these are the little additional things that you can also unlock during the campaign. So this might be characters, this might be equipment that you get through resolving a mission. And it's much better if you leave these assets in this asset board until you actually need it, because here they are in order and numbered. And if you punch them all out in the beginning, you will have a much harder time finding that individual thing that you're looking for. And I'm not sure
there's quite a thematic spread there in the assets, which I really like. So some of them are very sort of subtle, and they're about having just the right book with a secret, reference in it, or having the ear of a particular scientist. And then some of them are about the siege equipment that you roll into town and you just sort of lay waste to some mortals, and then you go about your way, which it's always a very fun moment when you kill mortals in extravagant ways.
Right. And the other material there, of course, it's power and infamy tokens, it's clan tokens that you need, the morale tracker, the basic clan crest, basically, to identify your clan, and a whole bunch of stuff that you need for different battlegrounds. I'd almost recommend also for the tokens that you don't know that you'll be using in your next game, to just leave them in there until you need them, and then because those come out throughout the campaign, so there's no need to load your box or to punch them out before you need them.
Right, but it's so fun. Punching.
Yeah, that's why I'm giving this warning, because I know everyone, the first thing they do when they get a new game is punch, punch, punch. So.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it, I think, or that must be it. We have the box itself.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see if Lolly and Francisco can actually put the components back into the box.
Oh, no, we need like a few minutes.
You can chat.
It's like a puzzle.
I can show you how it works.
It's like an additional
the box
puzzle.
is so full that there's a certain way that you should be doing it.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, if you're interested in the game and you are not a backer, you can still pre-order the game. The retail edition is available on nicegameshop.com in English and in German. So if you're interested in the game, you can pre-order it now.
That's very nice from a business perspective.
Yeah.
That you brought that up. That's a very good point. Thank you.
Right, and this will be hitting backers' tables quite soon. So if you're a backer or you're rushing to become a buyer, that's great. What you should do is check out the living rulebook that we will be releasing online, because by going digital, there's all sorts of cool stuff we were able to add. There is some errata, most significantly a token issue, which isn't particularly significant, but it's kind of funny. So there is some errata there that we'll clear up in the digital rulebook, but it's also got loads of videos and additional images, which will hopefully make it a lot more intuitive and clear as you're figuring out how this all works and how to teach other players.
The juicy dangler. Can't wait to see all the incredible looking content. That's so nice. That we feel that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we really, really hope you'll enjoy it as well. We had a lot of fun and a lot of hard times as well making this one. So we really hope that.
It took 700 years.
Basically, yeah.
So what's next on the stream? Nice Game headquarters?
Yeah, I don't know if because we had some plans to play like a cluster or something, but we are a bit understaffed here. And I don't know if it will be too fun to play with two.
It's already 1 hour 25, right? We're basically...
We are over-delivering already.
Exactly. Right, and you need to clean that up too. That'll take some time. So
I wonder if people are interested in watching a gameplay session maybe in the future. If maybe the chat could tell us if that's interesting or they would like to see other stuff.
Yeah, let us know what you'd like to know about the game. If you have any questions, comments, etc. We did do a stack of videos explaining different clans and battlegrounds, the way the campaign works, and things like this. But please, yeah, let us know.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, one thing that we definitely want to do and want to show as well is kind of give some guidance on like how you start out, like what you do when you get the box, and then how you set up your first game and so on and so forth. So that's something that we could talk about. Another thing we could talk about is what else can you change? So for me, that's kind of like the second cornerstone, or the third one, I'm not quite sure, of the game, is that there are so many things that you're changing already about your copy of the game, and we see the possibility for much more modding. So there's, for example, already been attempts at making solo scenarios. There's been an attempt to make a really involved, even more consequential version of the meta game for the campaign, and so on and so forth. So there's loads of things we could be talking about if you're interested in these kinds of things. Oh, right, there's a demo on Tabletop Simulator. That's a good point, Felipe. It's quite limited, but I think it illustrates quite well what kind of game it is and if it is for you. So if you're one of the people watching who is maybe on the fence, you can play it on Tabletop Sim as well. Not the campaign, but a custom game, basically.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, an invitation, because at 4 we have a testing of a prototype of a new game called Hunch. So if you're interested in testing this game with us and you have Tabletop Simulator, you can go to the Discord channel and we'll guide you through it.
That's true. It's much more simple than Heritage, though. It's definitely...
it doesn't take 2 hours to explain.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the advantage.
Yeah.
Right, so if there's no more questions, maybe we wrap it up for the day. And we thank everyone for coming. Our idea of this worked quite nicely, I think, very close to what a real nice game booth in Essen would look like. So when the first people arrive, we're still in panic mode and setting things up. And every 5 minutes something breaks and we panic again. But yeah, it feels good. It feels good to at least have this part of Essen with us wherever we go. And so we thank you all for participating and for watching. And see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, happy Essen, everybody.
Yeah, enjoy. Stay safe. Use masks.
Absolutely.